out with the old and in with the new. We're starting a new year, and it's a good time to look back on the things that maybe we didn't get right that we'd like to get right in the future. This is the "It's Not You, It's Me" video. I guess over a month ago now, Lana, Dave, and I went to go see opening night of Godzilla -1. I went in with incredible hype for this movie. Obviously Godzilla's up there with Batman and Superman as far as like pop culture icons that have been there my entire life. So I went in with a certain expectation of the movie, plus reading all the reviews, and people are like, this is Academy Award worthy, and I'm like, holy fuck, especially coming off of Shin Godzilla, which I thought was incredible, and that one is kind of going to go into what I'm going to talk about. So I went into this movie unbelievably hyped, ready to go, and left it cold, and pretty disappointed actually. And we shot a review in my car, but it was way too snarky. We all definitely went into it like a lot of YouTube reviewers would go into like Ghostbusters Afterlife. It got to a certain point in the movie where we were no longer letting the story engage us and the characters engage us in a way where we were taking it all in, and it more so became about loading up jokes and snark for the review afterwards, and I hate that shit. Even in the worst fucking movie, I want to go in and I want to at least let it wash over me and then take it from there. In this one, we kind of midway in, had taken ourselves out of that, and we're into snark mode, and I hate snark mode. So I put up there, I put online that schizophrenic guy outside is fighting with himself again. So I left the movie and I posted online that I think it was that great, and I got a lot of hate from that. So I was like, all right, I got to figure out why it is that I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing. So I gave it a little bit of time. I didn't post the review because I didn't want the hate. But also just like I needed to see it again with expectations tempered and figure out where the disconnect was. So I'm back and I saw another showing of it last week, and while all of the issues that I have with pacing and with some of the effects and with some of the story beats and all that were still there, I get it now. I understand. And I appreciate more now the story than I did the first time. And it comes down to the simple fact that, like a Batman, like a Superman, the ability to find shades of gray in which to tell new stories and recontextualize these legends for modern audiences is really where the brilliance of this film comes in. It's the same thing with Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla is about the compartmentalization of government agencies in the wake of a natural disaster. Natural disaster being a big googly-eyed fucking, Godzilla monster. In this one, the idea of... here's the cool thing. All right, so we live in an age now of... And this is just popping in my head right now. This is the good thing about not scripting shit and just talking. The idea that we live in an age now where everything is so hinged on, the critical drinker says, the message. American movies, the gender, social, political, sexual identities and messages of everything is so in your face that it takes you out of things. And it gives people on the right or the left something to fucking bitch about. This movie deals with gender identity, social identity, national identity, but it does it in a way where it mixes it in with the story. And in that regard, this movie is a reason that Hollywood films have failed so recently. Is it is subtle, and granted, there's a lot of shit in this movie that's not subtle at all, but it is subtle, and it does work it in where these characters feel fleshed out and realistic. You have Japan dealing with the fact that its empire failed its people in the wake of World War II. You have a government, you have a people who are trying to rebuild after we dropped the sun on them twice. Granted, we live in we live in an age where Oppenheimer came out this year, so these two movies can be kind of seen in a very similar, vein, basically. Where these people are kind of putting their lives back together, what they have left of their lives, and who they have left in their lives, and the idea of a people figuring out who they are with the scars of war hanging over them, and what it means to be Japanese, and what it is to be a man, and what it is to be a woman in this age. Like, that stuff isn't things that you would have seen in the Legendary Pictures Godzilla films. But for Godzilla as a character to continue to find new audiences and to continue to grow and exist in the parlance of pop culture, you have to tell those stories sometimes, but you also have to tell the big dumb action Godzilla versus King Kong stories, Every age of a specific character is someone's favorite or their introduction to a character. Stan Lee used to say that every comic book is somebody's first comic book. I don't get to Frank Miller's Batman without Adam West's Batman. We don't get to Shin Godzilla without Jet Jaguar. It's just how these things work. And to continue to have various versions of these characters, and some are much darker, some are much lighter, some are fun, some are campy, some are whatever. It's all part of the same thing where they have to continue to grow and evolve for everyone to find them at different places. And maybe you're going to find the silly, cheesy, campy one, which is going to lead you to the more serious, Gojira, the original, and then maybe to even look past that into the subtext which created these characters in the first place. I feel that -1 and Shin are the closest in cultural significance to the original film, where Japanese people were looking at themselves for the first time and projecting, the scars of war onto the rest of the world in a more palatable way by giving it a big, rubber monster, Granted, this wasn't a big rubber monster, it was CGI. But the idea that this movie had headier ideas and characters of depth, but still delivered the Godzilla-ness of it all, while still harkening back to things like Jaws or Jurassic Park or Empire of the Sun. There was definitely a Spielberg influence on this movie. And again, like the budget is another thing that I really, really appreciated. Like, it looked, a couple things I wasn't too crazy about, and I brought that up in my review that we didn't put up. Just like I wasn't crazy about the ending where, spoiler alert, she's still alive, but, despite the fact of being hit by the full force of atomic breath, all she has is like a bandage over her eye. It's whatever. Again, I'm not going to punch holes in the fucking shit. It's a Godzilla movie. It cost not even a fraction of what the Marvels or the Flash cost. And those movies failed so fucking miserably because audiences are kind of tired of hollow spectacle. And this movie, it's that idea of recontextualizing legends for a different audience, finding different areas to play in so that these things continue to exist, the idea of working in messages without beating you over the fucking head with it, the idea of creating a lot with a little. These are the reasons that I changed my tune so much on this movie. It succeeds where so many other films failed in 2023. And for that, I appreciate this movie a lot more. Plus, just the sheer fact that like it makes Godzilla fans happy. And as a Godzilla fan, to watch so many different people on social media who I have varying agreements or disagreements with in opinion when it comes to media, all come together and go, isn't it great that this thing exists? Isn't it great that we can all get together for a minute and like enjoy that like 80 years later they're still finding ways to give us like smart giant monster movies or thoughtful giant monster movies or giant monster movies in fucking general, you know? So a big reason why I wanted to shoot this video was just to kind of like go like, that was my fault. I came about it in the way that like I used to approach movies, where you had to be a snarky, shitty butthole in order to get clicks and stuff like that. And you forget why these things are special to you and why people look forward to Godzilla movies in the first place. Granted, I'm looking forward to King Kong vs. Godzilla too. Like, I like the first one. You know, I love the idea that we live in an age where they're actually giving us another King Kong vs. Godzilla movie. You know, stuff like that. As somebody who grew up loving, you know, the Saturday afternoon monster movies and seeing all the kaiju movies and the spin-offs of those movies, the American and British and, you know, all that one. You know, my favorite kaiju movie of all time, I've talked about this millions of times before, is War of the Gargantuas. I fucking love that movie with all my heart. But, like, you know, not everything needs to be super serious. Not everything needs to be intellectual and heady. Sometimes you just want to watch giant creatures knocking shit down. You know, it's, I said the same thing. It's like, it's a really dumb movie, but Rampage, the Rock one, it's a lot more fun than it has any fucking right being, you know? So like just the sheer fact that, you know, these things exist, that there are still people out there trying to tell interesting stories and that people still care and people get excited when this stuff is coming out. And we all got together on this one after I saw it a second time. And I kind of took a step back and I went, yeah, you know what? You're right. It's awesome. It's awesome that a studio was able to succeed in giving Godzilla fans what they wanted, even if they didn't know that's what they wanted, you know? And we can dig in deeper to the ideas of, you know, the character stuff and the cultural significance of post-World War II Japan and you know, our main character and the idea of his war not being over and you know, the PTSD that exists within that. There's a lot of those issues which other YouTube reviewers I'm sure have talked about and have said far better than I could ever say. But I just wanted to bring this down to the sheer fact that, like, it makes me happy that fans of anything are happy anymore, you know? Because everybody right away, it's just like, oh, this sucks because it's not like it used to be. Let me go on the internet and fucking complain about it. This seemed to make everybody happy. And that is important and special and something that we should, you know, that I'd love to see more of. And I hope that Hollywood takes a look at this and goes, okay, how do we do that? You know, because it made a fuck ton of money. So I guess I just wanted to come on and apologize for being shitty about not Shin Godzilla. I love Shin Godzilla. I actually, so I was able to get a screener of that super early, and this is like, I don't know, that 2017 that came out, whatever. I held a private screening of that for Mike Matei, James, Rolf, some of the guys from Screenwave back before I worked for them. And it's, you know, it's all subtitled and it's a lot of reading, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we were able to have a conversation after the fact, you know, that was like an intelligent conversation about Godzilla and about, you know, the past, the present, and the future of spectacle films, you know. And it's funny to look back on that now and think just like, A, my relationship with those people completely gone, but B, like, you know, where film went from that point to where it could go when studios believe in an idea and don't always feel the need to cater to the lowest common denominator. And there's nothing wrong with that sometimes. You need a Fast and the Furious 10 every now and again to cleanse the palate, it's I like the margins you can play in to continue to tell stories, and it's why a character like Godzilla, you need a Smallville in order for, to bring Superman to a new generation. You need Batman the Animated Series, you need Batman Beyond. We're going to get a Jason prequel, I think, a Crystal Lake show or something. I don't know how that's going to work. Hannibal, when a character is strong enough, you can find ways to tell stories within the margins to continue to evolve them, and I thought this movie was a wonderful example of that. And the idea that -1, it takes place right before the first film, and not in a not in a cash grab kind of way. Because the same thing with Wonka. Like, I really, really enjoyed Wonka, and I went into it expecting, like, oh, here we go, this is going to be a cash grab. But it beautifully recontextualized a lot of elements of the 1971 film in a way that didn't feel like Solo or like the Pirates of the Caribbean sequels, where they're giving you everything that we know about this character happened in one day, and none of that ever existed before. It was just here, and then this is what they are forever now. No, the best kind of characters evolve from that and take on different shapes, and sometimes they get harder, sometimes they get softer. You need a Godzilla. My brother's kids love Godzilla's, baby Godzilla. And the sillier stuff, and that's great because, again, like I said, they're gonna find the other things because of that. Be it Frankenstein's monster, be it Godzilla, be it Dracula, be it whatever. There are certain characters that I ask the kids who work for me. I'm like, well, do you know who Dick Tracy is? Do you know who Popeye is? They don't, because it seems like certain types of characters can only exist within a certain frame, and it's harder for writers to evolve out of that. So, I'm happy we live in a world where we're continuing to get Godzilla stories, and that that we can take them seriously, and that people get excited about them. That's it. I don't know. I'm rambling now at this point. I realized upon second viewing just how wrong I was about the entire situation. Because I left the theater thinking, like, the people who were, like, jerking off over it, I was just like, all right, cool. So anything Japanese, just people, like, cream their pantaloons over it. And, I've been in the YouTube game long enough, and we used to speak at anime conventions, and anime is just not my thing. I don't understand the whole bag. I appreciate the art form in certain ways, and the culture and all that kind of stuff. My buddy Race goes to Japan constantly and takes all these pictures and sends me cool shit, and it's amazing, the culture there. Just the fandom here, like, white dudes ruined anime for me. So I don't know. So I don't know. What was I talking about? I don't know. I don't fucking know anymore. That's it. Again, I just saying before, like, oh, it's great to just talk, but now I'm just rambling because I'm trying to remember where I am in certain things, because my cat's over here looking adorable. Just the idea that, some people I thought were just loved it just because of the Japanese angle of it, but no, there's, and it's actually a fantastic film. Even with my faults, nothing is perfect. There's a ton of movies out there that people fucking love, that I've given so many chances to, and just go, I don't get it, There's a lot of garbage that I love that people go, I don't understand how you could. Batman versus Superman. Director's cut of Batman vs. Superman, I think, is brilliant. Everybody thinks I'm fucking crazy. So that's it. New year, new me, new rambling. And I apologize for not quite getting Godzilla -1 the first time, but upon recontextualizing it, I appreciate it a lot more. And that's all I got for you this week.